93, 93, 93. You already know who it is. Ashra New, we back in this bitch. Another late live stream. It's about what, 3:30 East Coast, 12:30 West Coast. You already know how we do. So we're gonna get right to it. But before we get into it, I want to send a special shout out to S. Hicks, and I want to send a special shout out to Christy. Very loyal supporters. They went on ahead and sent me a couple shirts. If I can see, got that Metatron's cube. Because we were just talking about turning a square to a cube, right? So I appreciate that. Keeping me fresh. Got a couple other ones too. Let me see. Got this one. Right. And let me grab this other one. Got the red and black on me. All right. So definitely special shout out. I appreciate you so much. Salute, much love, and the ultimate respect to the goddess, right? As always. So I just wanted to, send them my special gratitude. Now let's get into it. The topic of this particular video is called Enough with the Spookism. There is no mystery God. Paradigm lockdown. Now, what promoted me to speak about this? Well, I guess it should be obvious, right? For all those who have read the book of the law, in chapter 3, it speaks on there is no God where I am, right? So this is directly coming from the book of the law. Even though, the book of the law, there is so much, right? There's so much to speak about. There's so much to talk about, but I want to really focus in on that particular degree, right? There is no God where I am. And those are the words of Rahakuit, chapter 3 of the book of the law. Now, why did Rahakuit feel the need to mention that? Before I go further, I know I did fast today. It is Ramadan. Much love and respect, to those who live a Islamic way of life. Just to make this clear, all people who follow the way of Islam are not Muslims, right? So everyone who follows the way of Islam is not praying 5 times a day. They're not praying to a mystery God. That is the mainstream. So if we talk about what we do over here, this is more so the Sufi Islam, right? The Sufism, which speaks about the God within, to bring forth the God force within your own essence, right? Every main religion has a exoteric form, a mystery God form, and every way of life has a esoteric form, which deals more so with summoning the energy from within yourself. So that means it doesn't matter what school of thought you come from. It doesn't matter what way of life you choose to lead, because each way of life has various paradigms. And that's why I'm calling this paradigm lockdown. Do not get caught up into the esoteric paradigm and think that that's the end all be all. For example, you have Christianity, right? And we know most Christians, worship Jesus. They pray to Jesus. However, we also know about the Gnostics, who were the early Christians, right? Now, when it comes to the Gnostics, they had a different perspective. because they were getting their information directly from Egypt, directly from Kemet. You can say Gnosticism is later day Kemetic living, right? Without all the Egyptian gods, without all the extra, right? Without all the hieroglyphs and all that, right? So if you were to extract all the extras and you just leave the basic science, you would be left with the Gnostic Bible or the Gnostic texts that were discovered in Nag Hammadi or Nag Hammadi, not Hammadi, Nag Hammadi with an H, back in the 1940s because it had been outlawed and hidden in a cave and it was rediscovered in the 1940s. Okay? So it doesn't matter, even Buddhism, even for those who follow the Eastern ways of life, you have the mainstream Buddhism, but you also have esoteric Buddhism, which is rarely ever even mentioned or talked about because most people have no idea about that. People just chose to stick with the mainstream Buddhism, Hinduism, so on and so forth, right? Rarely, if ever, you will hear anybody mention esoteric Buddhism, right? So that's not even something that people will even acknowledge whatsoever. And it's the same reason why they don't acknowledge the Gnostics, and also why they don't acknowledge the Sufis, right? So, because these things were preserved for minds like mine and minds like yours. It takes a different type of mind to be able to handle the truth. It takes a different type of mind. As we know, you start speaking the truth, people start feeling some type of way. Why? Because they don't want their paradigm to be interrupted. If we go back to the Matrix, right? What's up, Kmo 93? If we go back to the Matrix, you remember the scene where you had the guy who, was eating a steak, and he said, you know what, I just prefer to take the blue pill. I know I took the red pill, but I thought the red pill was going to come with glitz and glamour, right? In his mind, taking the red pill meant liberation and freedom, and you can do whatever you want to do, so on and so forth. So the more he went into the red pill, he realized that I didn't really sign up for this. I would rather remain in a fake world than accept the truth of the real world. And that scene was specifically to put a light on majority of the people, the 85%, right? This is how the 85% feels. It's not that they don't see the truth. They clearly see it. They are red pill. Don't get it twisted. They know better. But they choose to live a life of the blue pill. I see the truth over there. I clearly see it, but I'm going to stay over here because over here is comfortable. I don't care if it's an illusion. Over there, I'm like, what is the point? Remember in the Matrix, everybody is wearing rags. Nobody's fresh. Everybody's, eating oatmeal with no flavor, right? So it's like he started to question his decision. Like, what did I truly sign up for? Why did I choose to exit the Matrix just to eat tasteless oatmeal and wear rags and battle aliens? Why did I sign up for that? When I can be eating this steak, when I can have this good paying job, when I can be a part of the Matrix, even though it will destroy you from the inside out. But so be it. That's a sacrifice that you are willing to make. The reason I'm mentioning all this is because if we want to navigate this plane successfully and not get trapped into the vortex of others, right? 93, Kelly. I appreciate you so much. It's always an honor. It's always much love and respect. Always appreciate your presence. Always feel your energy. Right? The reason why people, aka the 85%, right? So reason why they're called the 85%. Let's just do the numerology before we even go further, right? The 5%ers will call them the Bill powers. But let's take it to the astrology. We know that 8 breaks down to Saturn, which is the last planet you enter into before you go into the outer planets of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, correct? Saturn represents the world consciousness. That is the status quo, right? That is the energy of, having a career, right? You got a bunch of career men, you got a bunch of career women, and that's the lifestyle that they live, right? Meaning you have people who put their career over family, over friends, over everything else. Their career is number one in their life. That's just how these people are, right? And they have every decision or every right to make that decision, right? So I'm not here to say who's right, who's wrong. We're just explaining how the paradigm works and how you can navigate through it and not get trapped into the vortex. The number 5 breaks down to Mercury, as we know, the trickster spirit, right? So you have Saturn and Mercury. Saturn represents limitations. Saturn represents the ceiling above your head. Like Jupiter represents expansion, but Saturn represents that ceiling that you find comfort in, that you find relaxation in, that makes you feel at home. Saturn takes us to the root chakra. It represents your foundation. And most people want their foundation to be based in comforts, right? Blue pilled. So if Mercury is the trickster spirit, and then we have Saturn to essentially root yourself into trick energy, right? Why these words don't just come out of nowhere, right? There's a reason why tricks are called tricks, and I'm talking about men and women, right? What's up, Z? There's a reason why tricks are called tricks, right? If we want to just keep it straight street, the only people that exist, pimps, hoes, and tricks. If we just keep it straight lingo, right? The only thing that exists, pimps, hoes, tricks. Tricks is what give the monies to the hoes. Then the hoes give the money to the pimps. Now, of course, most women don't even agree with this paradigm, right? But we're not here to say who's right, who's wrong. We're just explaining the dynamics of what actually happens, of what actually this world is comprised of. We make a decision as to either you're going to pimp this world, either you're going to come out on top, or you're going to come out on the bottom. See, this is the thing. What makes a trick a trick? So that we can have a full understanding of this energy vortex, right? So it's not just words with basic definitions. What makes the trick a trick? How do you categorize a trick? How can you identify that? Because we understand that the trickster energy is based around the energy of Hermes. And if we are familiar with the mythology of Hermes, Hermes was, mischievous. Hermes didn't really like to follow rules, right? Hermes wants to do whatever Hermes wants to do. Hermes is not really trying to follow the rules of the game. They don't have enough discipline. This is the main difference. A trick has no discipline. A trick will see, you can say, a beautiful, attractive woman, and he's ready or she's ready, because trick, this is not even about gender at this point. He or she is willing to go to any length to satisfy their desires. That's what makes them a trick. Meaning you're willing to pay any amount, you're willing to cheat on your wife, cheat on your husband, because most of these tricks have regular lives. Regular husbands, regular wives, regular children, and all that, right? They live a very regular life. They are career men and career women. This is just what they do in the underworld. So they have to come to the streets to get their desires satisfied because their desires will not be satisfied in that world. That world, pays them, but in order to satisfy their own desires, they have to come to the streets and interact with those hoes, right? Because the hoes are the only ones who will fulfill the desires of the trick, because the trick has some very extreme desires. So a regular woman cannot fulfill the desires, they already have a wife. Or a regular man can't fulfill those desires, they already have a husband. So the only one who can take it to the next level for them is the ones who are active in the underworld, who will not judge them, and they can keep their secrets hidden. Because one of the rules of the game is silence. Discreet. You must be discreet. It's not for you to put your business out in the streets, right? So any man or any woman who is putting their business out in the street cannot be considered a pimp or a hoe. You are a trick. We know these people, right? They can't keep their business. They have no discipline in their tongue. Their tongue is not disciplined. As soon as they get in their feelings, they're running their mouth. Everybody knows what's going on. It's just they put all their energy, all their business in the street. This is just how they're built. Because again, they don't have the necessary discipline to hold it down. It is extremely hard to be a pimp. It is extremely hard to be a hoe. So I'm using these terms in no disrespect because this is extremely hard to do. That's why most women are not hoes, most men are not pimps. Not because it's right or wrong, because again, this is not about morality. That's why we're going beyond God. This is not about morality. This is not whether you should or shouldn't do it, because we must understand how the law works, right? I've said this before. For example, with prostitution, prostitution is only illegal when a city has a certain number of people. That number is 400,000. If a particular city has more than 400,000 people in there, prostitution is illegal. So, and this is law. See, most people don't understand how the law works because, again, the law has nothing to do with how we feel. For example, if you're in California, the age of consent is 18. But if you go to the East, the age of consent is 16. In certain states in the East, the age of consent is 16. So is we can feel however the fuck we want to feel. Like, oh, that's disgusting. Oh, that's too young. 16 is too young. But that is the law, and that's not changing. It doesn't matter how anybody feels. If that 16-year-old says yes, can't nobody stop her. If that 16-year-old boy says yes, can't nobody stop him, according to law. However, if you do that, crossing states, then you may run into a problem. But if you stay your ass where the law makes it legal, then you'll be fine. Can't nobody do nothing. Can't nobody say nothing. People will feel how they feel, but it ain't nothing they can do. They ain't changing the law. So that's why the most people don't resonate with the law. They resonate with their own emotions. That's why most people don't study law. Because the law, you have to have a certain, like, what do they call it? I don't know what they call it. You have to have a stomach of steel to truly study law. Why do we think, so many lawyers are considered corrupt? All they're doing is following the law. All they're doing is following the law. And sometimes the law is in your favor, sometimes it's not. It really depends on your location. For example, you have certain states that have a stand your ground law. You can literally kill somebody to defend yourself. Other states do not have your stand your ground law, right? So the same act committed in one place will put you in jail, but if you commit it, let's just say in Georgia, in Atlanta, they have a stand your ground law. Somebody breaking your house and you killed that person, you're not going to jail. But if you do that shit in New York or you do that shit in California, you're going to jail. You did the same thing. You just defended your home from an intruder. But because of your location, that will determine whether you go to jail or not. Because that is the law. And the law, as we see, is different from state to state, even from city to city, right? So it's very intricate. That's why you must know the law, which most people don't know. This is why most people are caught up. They are not familiar with the laws of the land. If you are not familiar with the laws of the land, you're going to get caught up because you're thinking something is cool and it's not. For example, some places you can smoke weed and ain't nobody going to say nothing to you. If you go other places, you will end up in of a the back of a cop's vehicle if they see you doing that. But if you do the shit in California, cops drive right past. It's like, who cares? You're doing the same thing, but based on the location will determine whether you remain free or you have a paradigm lockdown. So I'm just giving various examples of law. Law breaks down to the number 9, which is the highest vibration. Law breaks down to 9. The reason why law breaks down to 9 and 9 is the highest vibration is because the law is supreme. If you break the law, there will be consequences, right? The thing is, you have written laws and you also have unwritten laws, right? You have written laws, you have unwritten laws. So, for example, the laws of the street are unwritten. Then you have the legal laws, which are written in the books, in the law books, right? So going back to the original point, when it comes to pimps and hoes, they have to follow a unwritten law. And if they follow this unwritten law, it will help them to navigate around the actual law. What this means is, if you play the game correctly, you can be successful if you follow the rules, which is not easy to do. For example, you're not supposed to be putting your hands on a woman. You're not supposed to be giving your woman drugs. You're not even supposed to be engaging in none of the vices of the world if you really want to be on top of your game. And that goes for any lifestyle. You need to leave the vices of the world alone if you want to be at the top of your game. You can't be on the top of your game and you have 6, 7 different vices. It's just not going to work for you, right? Because you're not going to be able to follow that unwritten law because you're not going to find a reason to. How do we know this? Just look at people that are on hard drugs. What are their law? They don't have a law. They just want to do whatever they want to do. They're just looking for their next high. They're looking for their next drink. They don't care how they get it. They are tricks. That's why these people can turn into informants. These are the people that get your ass locked up. These are the people that are going to tell on you because they can't see past their own vices. These people cannot be trusted. This is the energy of the trickster, right? That's why they say you have to have a circle of trustworthy people, meaning people that follow a unwritten law. If you successfully can follow the unwritten law, it ain't shit to follow the actual law because the actual law is easy to follow. So for all the people out here breaking the actual law, which happens every day, it's because they have no discipline. Anybody who has discipline, it's not hard to not break the law. But for some people, it is hard not to break the law because they don't want to live by no law. If they had it their way, it would be no law. But that's why they're not the ones in charge of this world. This world would be complete chaos if it was ran by tricksters. So even though it is an abundance of tricksters, the tricksters don't run the world. The so-called powers that be, these are not tricksters. You don't see these people. These people are not in the limelight. You will never meet or see these people ever in your life because they follow a unwritten law to stay out of the public, away from the tricksters. That's their law. Now celebrities try to do it, but most celebrities are tricks. Let's just be real. They're not following no law either. Again, Hollywood movies, they're not following. They just do it. They swapping wives and doing whatever the fuck they want to do. They're not following no rules and regulations. That's why when you are able to, like, nobody's even going to tell you what the unwritten laws are. See, that's the thing. Nobody's going to sit and break this shit down to you. Okay, well, these are things you do, these are things you don't do. The only person that will be capable of doing that is somebody who is actually participating in the rules of the game. You can't get it from nobody else. You have to get it from somebody who's actually participating, but you don't really run into these people. You're not just going to randomly run into pimps and hoes. They're not just out there for you. Again, I'm talking about high level, not low level. Not hoes who just trying to, get their next smoke, or pimps who just trying to get their next hit. Again, I'm not talking about the low level streetwalkers. I'm talking about people who are doing big business. You're not going to see these people. You're not going to run into these people. You probably wouldn't even know that that's who they are because they don't reflect that energy. They're not dressed up looking like clowns. They're discreet. You would never even know. You would think, damn, that's a lawyer. You wouldn't even be able to tell the difference because they're sophisticated. They don't want you just to outwardly know, oh, that's clearly a hoe, that's clearly a pimp. That's not how they move. Why? Because it's too obvious. Why would they want you to know what they're into so that you can snitch on them, so that you can tell on them? Why would they want you to know their business? That makes no sense. Because again, you cannot trust a 85 percenter. Somebody who has no idea why they're even here on earth. If they don't even know why they're here on earth, what makes you think they're going to hold any law to any standard? They're not. This is how majority of the people are anyway. This is why we stay away from these people, right? Because you can't trust them. And all they know how to do is trick. All they know how to do is be a snake. That's all they know how to do. They don't know nothing about that serpent magic. Because remember, serpent breaks down to seven, and snake breaks down to the number five, which again takes you right back to the trickster energy. But the serpent takes you to the number of God, and not a spooky God, but the God within you. Because that's what the serpent told Eve, right? The serpent told Eve, you are the supreme. You are the key to the universe. And if you don't believe me, eat the apple and find out. Of course, like, who's going to deny that? So when we think about, well, why did Eve listen to the serpent? Why wouldn't you when they're telling you, like, yo, you're actually the one. You don't have to follow this motherfucker giving you rules. That's trying to hold you back and lock you into a paradigm. The Garden of Eden was a paradigm, a lockdown. Because if you really think about it, in the 21st century, who the fuck would want to live in a goddamn garden? You have people who think they're gonna die and they're gonna go into this paradise. They're gonna go into this garden with flowing waters, and the waters are like milk and cream, and they got all these fruits. They got this image of what heaven is supposed to be, which is a reflection of the Garden of Eden in some way or form. But remember, that was not the real God. That was the demiurge, according to Gnosticism. The creator God of this world is a flawed God with a flawed philosophy. And this is what most people follow, a flawed God with a flawed reality. This is all an illusion, as we know. So the rules of the game will remain unspoken. They will remain hidden. Nobody's just gonna tell you. It's like you figure it out on your own. It's not for anybody to tell you. You must figure it out on your own. And if you do figure it out on your own, you will come into contact with people who also acknowledge this hidden law that they figured out on their own as well. That's why it's really not to be told, right? Well, it's a whole nother saying, right? The game is to be sold, not told. That's not actually saying, okay, pay me and I'm gonna tell you the secrets. That's not what that means. If you take it on face value, you think, okay, well, all I gotta do is pay for the game. That's not what that means. That's just what people think it means. So, but no, you can't even sell the game. The game can't be sold. Because even if somebody tells you the rules, you still have to follow them. You still have to live by it. Just because somebody told you, it's not going to change anything if you don't apply it. If you don't apply the invisible laws, who cares? Somebody you can pay whatever amount you want to pay, but if you don't apply it, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's not going to become a living essence until you live it out. You must manifest that wisdom, that universal wisdom. So it's not a coincidence that these so-called bad characters that we call criminals in the criminal underworld, it's no coincidence that these people have the actual knowledge, as we call street knowledge. And in order to acquire street knowledge, you must speak the language of the streets because that's the language that they're going to speak to you. So if you can't even comprehend the language of the streets, you can absorb the knowledge because the knowledge is going to be coded in street lingo, which is just a bunch of metaphors. Street lingo is a bunch of metaphors. You got to be able to navigate those parables. They throw parables at you if you can even catch it, right? So these are things that you have to discover, but most people are not going to discover it because they're not going to make the sacrifice to discover it. So most people end up just being 85s. Most people just end up, being a career man, being a career woman, and they're just trying to make their money, take care of their family, do the legal thing, and that's no problem. Again, so I'm not saying any of this with any judgment because you need all these characters. If you remove pimps, because again, every pimp is not dealing with women. That's a level. That's not the end all be all. That's just what people think. And of course, they're going to let you think whatever you want to think. They're not going to break, oh, well, that's not what that means. They don't care what anybody thinks. Why? If you are living by the code, you're not even worried about what somebody else is thinking who is not even strong enough to apply these rules and regulations to their own life. So their opinion is irrelevant. The trick is locked down into a paradigm because they will always succumb to their weaknesses. So if a trick weakness is a woman, he's going to always fall victim to a woman because that's his weakness. So of course the woman is there to take advantage because why wouldn't she? It's him who is weak. It's the trick who is weak. So the woman will capitalize. And I encourage every woman to capitalize on a man's weakness because that's what you're there to do. Fuck your emotions, fuck how anybody feels, fuck the judgment. If a trick is being a trick, it is for you to take advantage. That's literally why you're here. Do it because it's literally in your nature to do it, right? The feminine currency represents deception. It's what women do best. The only person that's complaining about it is those who are weak. If you are strong, you're not worried about a woman taking advantage of you because you have enough discipline. So you're not worried about what women are doing, what women are don't want to do, what they're saying, what they're complaining about. You're not worried about all that. The only person that's worried about it is the trick because he needs to get his fixed. He need to get his fix. She needs to get her fix. So she cannot separate herself, or he cannot separate herself from the underworld. That's why all of these dynamics work together in unison. This is just a paradigm, how the paradigm is built. Fuck how anybody feels about it, right? That's why they want you to believe in a mystery God. Let me explain now how that ties into everything that's being said here. Because if we believe in a mystery God, we believe that, for one, our vices is something that a demon did, right? Like, oh, it's the devil working, it's demons working. We can take the blame and the responsibility off of ourselves, because what do? We repent. That's what religious people do. They repent. It don't matter what they do, they're gonna repent. They're gonna ask for forgiveness and just do the same thing next week, do the same thing next month. But as long as they ask for forgiveness, as long as they confess their sins, their slate is wiped clean. This is how tricks operate. Go to any church, go to any masjid, go to any synagogue, go to any temple. Full of tricks. Why do you think they're there? Let's just be honest. Why do you think that they are there? Give me 1 second here. All right. So, why do you think they're there? They're there because clearly they don't feel that they have enough discipline on their own. So they need some type of divine assistance to help them with their own vices. Otherwise they wouldn't be there. Let's just be honest. Why do you need to go to church and confess sins if you're not sinning? Why do you need to repent if you are not sinning? If you're not doing any wrong? There's no purpose at that point. So church is for those who cannot control their vice. And it makes it okay for them to continue to engage in their vice. Why? Because that's what makes the world go round. This is done on purpose. Let's just be honest here. Again, I'm just not here to bullshit nobody. I'm just here to just why pretend? There's too many pretenders, there's too many scammers, there's too many frauds already out here, right? It's no point in me being with that energy at all, right? So even if, well, it's not even if. That's why you don't see ads on my videos. Now, do you? When the last time you seen an ad on my video? 93 MR. When is the last time you see the ad on my video? I don't even request to put ads on my videos because I know the type of shit that I'm gonna be talking is not gonna be okay. Like YouTube is not gonna pay me for the type of shit I talk about. So I don't even try to navigate through the rules. I'm on the outside, meaning I can just say whatever the fuck I want. Why? Because as long as YouTube don't have to pay for it, they just let you go. But most creators, they're trying to get paid. So they're trying to navigate, they're trying to swivel. They force you to act like a snake. You have to be other than yourself. You want to get paid on here, you got to be other than yourself. You got to neuter yourself. You got to you gotta do it on. You gotta do it. Oh, I can't cuss through the first 10 seconds, or I can't do that. You know, I come on this bitch cussing, right? Just to let it be known, it's like this is a whole different energy here, right? I don't even request any type of compensation. It's like it's not no point in me even trying, because I already know, right? Because this is just a sacrifice you make when you want to be real, when you want to speak the truth. This is just a sacrifice you make, and I don't expect most people to do it. And most people will not make this sacrifice. Otherwise, it would be more people like me. But this is not, right? It's only a couple of us. I'm not going to say I'm the only one. It's only a handful of us. Like, okay, fuck the rules. I'm going to take the hit. Moving on. Tricks is what makes the world go round. Vice, let me say it this way, vice is what makes the world go round. What do I mean? Ever since I've been more healthy, ever since I removed meat from my diet, dairy from my diet, sugar from my diet, wheat from my diet, soy from my diet, I realized that our is that removes like I'm not now I can't go to the corner store anymore. It ain't nothing in there for me. Now I can't go to the local gas station. It's nothing in there for me. I can't go to the local Walgreens, CVS. It's nothing in there. I literally have to go to an actual supermarket. So all the vices, I don't even have access to it because I'm like, all right, let me go beyond. So I'm not, let me not say be healthy because any people feel like they're healthy still, eating everything I just named. And can you be healthy eating stuff I just named? If that's what you believe, sure. I'm not telling nobody what they should do. I'm just speaking about what I'm doing here. And because I've been correcting my diet, I realize that most stuff is off limits. Most foods are off limits to me. There's no way for me to get trapped into vice because I'm like, it starts with what you put into your body. It starts with a chemical imbalance. If we are chemically imbalanced, because of our own vices, it's easy to get trapped into this world. You essentially become a trickster and you don't even know that you're a trickster because what makes you a trickster is a chemical imbalance. That's why people are running around here with no self-control. It's because they are chemically imbalanced. So if you look at the lifestyle of a trick, once again, it's chemical imbalance. These people can be vegetarian, they can be vegan, so, but that doesn't change their mentality. 93. What's up, mine too? 93. 7 days in, salute to you. You fasted for Ramadan? You fasted for Ramadan or you just doing it yourself? Either way, salute to you. Either way, salute to you for just bettering yourself. Salute to you for making that decision to be a better person. Much respect because most people are not doing it, as we see. Right? It's not easy to do. That's the whole thing. This is not easy to do. It's not easy to live like that. So I know I'm just talking like, oh, this is easy. This is not easy to do. As I just said, this majority of the food is off limits to me now, right? So my diet has become like the same. It's like I can only eat so many things, right? But most people don't eat like that, right? Most people have to have something different to eat every night. One day they may want McDonald's, the next day Burger King, the next day In-N-Out, the next day Cane's, the next day Wendy's. That's how most people live, right? They need something different. They like that variety. Next day they need some seafood. Next day they want that. But for me, it's like I find myself just having a strict diet. I only eat certain things, and I only eat at certain times. I may only eat one meal a day. I don't even think I ate today. I haven't even eaten nothing all day. I had some liquids, right? I only drunk little liquids, but I haven't eaten anything. And I'm usually I haven't even been thinking about. I'm like, damn, I haven't even ate all day, and it's already the next day. I ain't had shit to eat since before yesterday, but I'm not even hungry. Why? Because when your mind is clear, you just got other shit to do. I've been busy all day. I've been doing all type of projects, for the supporters and for the listeners. I've been busy all day, so food has not even been on my mind. But again, I've been at this for a little minute though, so it's not like I started yesterday. I've been at this for a little minute, so I guess I'm used to it. Right? At this point, I'm used to it. I didn't just start yesterday. I've been doing this for over a decade, right? Before YouTube, right? So this is just a continuation. I'm just taking it to the absolute extreme. Right? I'm just taking it to the absolute extreme. That's the Scorpio shit, right? We're gonna take everything to the absolute extreme. We're not gonna let nobody outwork us, right? That's just Scorpio shit. We're not gonna let nobody outwork us. Oh, you fasting? Oh, you fast for a day? I'm gonna fast for two. You didn't eat in a week, I'm gonna go 2 weeks. That's just a mentality, right? It is what it is. I'm not here to say whether it's right or wrong. That's just a mentality. Every zodiac sign got the pros and the cons. It just is what it is, right? Getting back to the purpose of the video, we unlock the paradigms that we have been forced to initiate ourselves into when we start with ourself. You must activate your inner God or your inner goddess. Well, how do you do that? You must correct your chemical imbalance. We're holding our own self back. We hold our own self back because we don't allow ourselves to shine. Like we be caught up, well, nobody wants to see me shine. Nobody wants to help me. Well, we got to help ourselves. It ain't for nobody else to help us in the first place. For one, right? We know how this world is. Ain't nobody trying to do nothing for nobody. And so be it. Because we have the ability to do for self. So we don't even need the assistance anyway. But when you're comfortable, you feel like, everybody should help you. We feel like the world owes us something. That's just the result of a chemical imbalance. Do not take that mentality out into the world like the world owes you something. You take that mentality out into the world, that's how we have people that's just, you may go to McDonald's and you deal with employees with attitudes and shit. We probably encounter these people every day, people who don't want to be where they are, so they got a fucking attitude that they got to work there, that they got to be there. They have fucking attitudes. But when you're balanced, it's like there is no attitude to have. You can make $8 an hour. You can work in a fast food. None of that shit matters because you're free. You're like, oh, I work here, but I don't eat this shit. Majority of the people that work at these fast food places, what do you think they're eating for lunch? They're eating exactly what's already there. They're not going all the way across town to get a meal. They're eating what's right in front of their face. So of course they don't want to be there because it makes them uncomfortable. It's a chemical imbalance. Who the fuck wants to stand on their feet for 8 hours when they're chemically imbalanced and when they're always hungry? They want to be on their cell phones. They have a short attention span. All this is a result of a chemical imbalance. When you correct your chemical balance, then it's like yes, you can be right in front of food and not give a fuck about it. It doesn't move you. As I said, I don't even remember the last time I ate. It's like the day before yesterday, right? But I've been around food. I didn't see everybody eat, but it just doesn't move me because again, we have to control our vice. That includes controlling your God or the so-called mystery God. You must get control of this so-called demiurge. The demiurge wants you to fall victim to the ways of the world. Because remember, the demiurge is flawed. But according to Gnosticism, we all have the divine spark within us, but it must be cultivated, it must be refined. You must add a level of sophistication to yourself in order to activate it. You must be sophisticated. You can't be primitive. And that's why I made the differentiation between people who just in the streets just because they want to be in the streets and people who evolve out of the streets. You may have started there, but you didn't end up there because you had enough discipline to stay focused on your goal. But how can you have a goal if you have no imagination? Living a wrong life kills your imagination. That's why it's hard for most people to visualize, especially the entire play from beginning to end. How the fuck are you gonna do that? When we eat certain foods, we be ready to go to sleep. How many times have you ate and you just ready to lay down? You ain't trying to visualize, you're not trying to meditate. You're not trying to activate the imagination. There's too much going on in the lower chakras. You got to go through the heart just to get to the higher chakras. The heart is the gateway, and the heart don't have shit to do with love. Let's make that clear. The heart chakra don't have nothing to do with love. That's what they want you to think. The heart chakra don't have nothing to do with love. It has everything to do with You activating your own Christ within. That is the gateway. That's the cross, right? The cross is you. You as the Christ. You as the self savior. You being able to save your own ass. That's the heart chakra. Do you love yourself? Fuck anybody else. Do you see yourself as your own savior? Do you see the God within you? Do you see the goddess within you? Because if you see God, you're gonna also see devil, aka Lucifer. Can you accept a God and a Lucifer within yourself? Right? So came on Ramadan to breeze for me. Yeah, because as it should be. As it should be, right? Because when you know, like, damn, people eat disgusting. You are what you eat, right? If you are what you eat, the last thing we want to do is be disgusting, filthy fucks. That's the last thing you want to be. So you're doing everything in your power to make sure that you truly reflect your diet. That's exactly you like, okay. My diet is a reflection of me. Everything I put into my body will use as building blocks to help me continue on. So the last thing you want to do is eat disgustingly. That's the last thing you want to do. The last thing you want to do is just fill your body with mucus, fill your body with grease. You're not trying to do all that because you know it's going to reflect in your aura. It's going to reflect in your energy. We killing our own energy because we love food, our taste buds. But you know, try telling this to an 85 and see if they listen. They're not going to listen. So don't waste your time. But you will listen to yourself. You will listen to your own divine spark, and that's the only thing that matters because that's why you're here. You're here to cultivate your own divine spark. Fuck anybody else's spark. Only they can activate themselves. Only they can save themselves. That's all we can do is motivate and inspire each other. But we all have to do the work on an individual level, right? Can't nobody do the work for us. That's what makes it so glorious because you know that you did it yourself on your own with no help. Again, you may be inspired, you may be motivated by others, but you know you got to go out, you got to go through your day without eating food or without drinking water. You know that you have to do it when nobody's looking, not when everybody else is looking, when nobody is looking, right? You got to do it when nobody's looking. Customers go to every station there. They be making me mad like, how you so hungry? People be greedy because they are trying to satisfy their hunger. They're not eating because they have to eat. They're eating because they're hungry. So if you get hungry 6 times a day, you're going to eat 6 times a day. They are slaves to their own hunger. They don't know how to resist the hunger because you're only hungry out of habit. This is what most people don't know. You're only hungry out of habit. You're not hungry because that body actually needs food. You're hungry out of habit because you're just used to eating unrestrictedly. That's all it is. So it's just they have not mastered their hunger, which is their lower chakras. That's all. They have not mastered their lower chakras. And if you have not mastered your lower chakras, you're just going to be in this world in vice. Part of mastering the lower chakras is mastering your vices. We all have a vice. We all have something that is easy for us to fall into if we allow ourselves to. But we can resist that. But resisting that urge is not easy to do because you feel like you're going against the grain. It's not easy to do, but it's absolutely necessary, again, if you want to stimulate the higher chakras. The higher chakras, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. The throat allows you to produce divine speech, prophecy, music. Most people are not musicians. Most people are not creative. Why do you think people are so concerned with STEM, which is what science, engineering, technology, mathematics. Why do you think the majority of the world, that's what the majority of the world cares about, the STEM? Majority of the world are not creative. They're not. They're just doing a bunch of coding, a bunch of data entry, right? A bunch of technical stuff, right? Running business. They're not producing harmonies and music and being able to channel from the muse because you got to go into the higher chakras to even do that. That's why people who do this masterfully are remembered forever in time, like the Beethovens. People who do this masterfully. People don't forget that because it's not easy to do. And we know that it comes with pain. It comes with sometimes torture. You know, Beethoven, you couldn't even hear, but he was able to produce music without the ability to interpret sound. That's mastery. Most people would have just said, fuck music. I can't hear shit. Fuck it. I'm just about to, type in a computer. Right? I'm gonna get a regular job. But he didn't. He took his adversity and made himself grand, made himself a master because he mastered his own limitations, which we all have. No, none of us is perfect. So we must master our own limitations, which is not easy to do. It's not easy to access the higher chakras. That's the whole thing. Anybody who's telling you that this is easy to do is lying to you. It's not easy. But all you gotta do is look at them. It's not too hard. Look at a person's diet. Look at how they operate themselves. Look at how sophisticated they are or the lack thereof. Right? Look at, are people just completely infested by drama and that's all they care about is other people's opinions and egos and all that? Just check your local Facebook page. And you tell me, can you be on Facebook longer than 10 minutes without seeing somebody have a fucking meltdown and they're just overly concerned? They just saying shit and doing shit just to piss people off. We see it all the time, every day, all day. It's non-stop. This internet is full of filth. 85% of the content on the internet is filth. It takes time to find the real shit because people that's doing the real shit, people like me, you ain't gonna find me. Like somebody who just gets on YouTube, the odds of them even knowing who I am is zero. They're not even gonna find it. I'm not gonna be what's recommended in the algorithms, as it should be. So the people who are actually here deserve to be here because clearly you did something to supersede the algorithm to even know who the fuck I am. And for those who also reflect this energy, again, I'm not the only one. I'm not trying to fake like I'm the best. I'm not. Right? So it's not easy to do. So anybody who's telling you this is a cakewalk, they're lying to you. This takes lifetimes, honestly. What's up, S Hicks? Already, I gave you the shout out, in the beginning of the video. Got the shirt on right now. All right, shout out to S Hicks. So, I gave you your love and respect at the beginning of the video before I even got into it. All right, so just want to let you know that I appreciate everything you do. Got the shirts right here. All right, got the shirts right here. All right, so much love and respect to you once again. All right, so we're good to go. We're good to go. We shielded up. We shielded up. Right. So when you remove the spook god from your life, meaning you're not asking for forgiveness, you're not asking for, you know, you're just not doing what the 85 do at all. It just disgusts you. You're not drawn to that. You don't give a fuck what they got to say. You don't care how much money they have. You're like, yo, you're not even getting that money righteously. Why would I give a fuck? Most people don't get their money righteously anyway. Most people are selling bullshit, shit that you don't need, telling you shit that you don't need to hear. But they may generate a lot of money, right? Hence why there's so many scammers, frauds. It's an abundance of these people, right? Who just running their mouth just for the sake of running their mouth. They're just trying to get clout. They're just trying to get fame. I may be the only one that tells you to be infamous. Now, I will say I may be the only one telling you that. Fuck fame. It's for you to be infamous. right? You must master infamy, right? Because if you can master infamy, you good to go. And you're not dependent on anybody or anything. You can care less what the world is doing, what the world is not doing. It's just not your concern, right? Because you're not dependent on the local currency. That's why I tell y'all about Bitcoin. That's why I tell you about cryptocurrency. You shouldn't even care about the local currency. If the dollar goes out of popularity tomorrow, shouldn't matter to you. It really shouldn't matter, but to the 85, it's going to matter, right? Right? I appreciate that, S6. Again, much love to the goddess. Much love to you. Much love, right? Always appreciative. And, that's why I continue to show up. It's not even that I feel like I'm doing something righteous, right? See, my intentions are different than most people, right? My intentions are a little different. Like, I didn't come on YouTube seeking anything, right? I just came to be infamous. It's like I came just to disappear. As crazy as that may sound, right? I came on here just really to disappear. So I'm really moving in the underworld. I'm not gonna lie. I don't do what everybody else do. My money don't come like the same way other people's money. My life is completely underworld, completely underground, and that's just the truth. That's just the truth, right? I'm not gonna sit here and lie. That's why I say my life is pretty dangerous. Right? My life is. I'm just being honest here. Right? I'm not just blessed in comfort and all that. That's not what I'm doing here. So that's why I can come with this level of intensity because it's actually a reflection of my life. This is not from just reading a bunch of books and just watching other people's videos. Eventually, I had to gain my own wisdom, right? Which is a daily task, right? So I ain't talking about past tense. This is what we have to do every single day. Every single day. We must become wiser and wiser, but in order to become wise, we must subject ourselves to experience that other people are just not willing to subject themselves to. That's the whole thing. I'm constantly putting myself in situations that other people ain't putting themselves in because I know that there's wisdom to be gained. And that's what I've been doing, and that's what y'all been seeing the whole time. You see me put myself in situations that other people like, nah, I can't do that. Nah, I'm not doing that. But that's exactly why I'm doing it. Because I'm like, oh, you refuse, you refuse, you refuse. All right, that just motivates me even more. I'm like, oh, they're not gonna do it. That motivates me even more. But I know everybody doesn't work like that, and everybody would never work like that. So I understand my assignment. I understand my position. So I just give you wisdom directly from the source, directly from the lifestyle, right? As you know, this is as authentic as you're gonna get it. So I don't know why I even just went on that long rant. That wasn't even necessary. Right? Let's get back to the purpose. Remove the spookism from your life. Remove the need to have a God to shield you or protect you. People look at God for protection, for love, for whatever the fuck. Remove yourself from that equation and activate your own divine consciousness because it's already there. But we kill ourselves, so we never activate it. How we can't be killing ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually and expect to become more sophisticated. It's just not going to happen, right? And that's why it's threefold. So diet is one thing, but also your mentalism, meaning you must control your mental foods. So just like you control your physical foods, you must control your mental foods. You must be in control of what you intake mentally through your eyes and through your ears. You must have discipline with your eyes and your ears. Hence why you see me with shades. This is just me disciplining my eyes. I don't even want to see no bullshit. I don't want to hear no bullshit. Right? So I'm not. I'm not gonna hear no bullshit. I'm not gonna see no bullshit. I'm not gonna put myself in situations where I have to subject myself to that. And if I have to be subjected to it, I'm not gonna succumb to it. I'm not gonna succumb to that vortex because I guarantee, ever since I've been being more healthy and completely changing my diet, completely changing my aura, shit has been chaotic. Meaning I'm just watching my surroundings just like go to hell, literally. Motherfuckers don't know what the fuck to do. And I'm like, damn, the only thing I did was change my diet. My mental diet, my physical diet, and my spiritual diet. Now all of a sudden, there's all type of madness around me, but I'm at peace within because I don't have a chemical imbalance. But before, when I was chemically imbalanced, that shit would just overwhelm me. Damn, I gotta hit that blunt. Damn, I gotta hit that joint. Well, shit is crazy. I gotta hit that drink. I gotta stuff my mouth with food, right? But once I remove the vices and not allow my emotions to take advantage of me and to get the better of me, now it's like it doesn't even matter. The world can be going to hell right now. I'm gonna be unfazed. But that's because I placed myself in that position to be unfazed. It ain't just automatic. But that's what it means to be in the higher chakras. That's why, I just be thinking about music. I just be thinking about ASMR. I just be thinking about technomancy. I just be thinking about cyber magic. That's my mind is only thing. Like I'm thinking about how do I make better content? How do I give you more value? I don't want to just sit up here and waste nobody's time. So I'm constantly thinking about how do I do what I do better? Right? That's what I'm always thinking. That's what occupies my time. How do I become a better content creator? How do I become a better father, better brother? Right? I'm thinking about the shit that actually matters. Right? And if we're talking about the third eye, because we're talking about the Mercury, right? The throat chakra. Now, if we take it to the third eye, this is what enables us to dream consciously. Like lately, I've been dreaming crazy, and celebrities are coming in my dreams and shit. I had a dream about Kodak Black. I had a dream about Nipsey Hussle. I even had a dream about Whack 100. And I'm like, why am I dreaming about these motherfuckers? Not to disrespect Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace. But I'm talking about Whack 100. It's always some drama around. I'm like, why is he even in my goddamn dream? Right? If I recall correctly, you don't watch videos of occult practitioners, but what I noticed when watching several of their videos, they are wearing sunshades. Well, I recently watched one with four folks on the screen. Three of them had on sunshades. Well, that is true. I don't really watch too much conscious content on YouTube. It's just it disturbs my inner peace. Meaning, I be trying to give people a chance. I honestly do. I be trying to give people a chance, but it's like there's no depth behind their words. Cause I'm like, they're not there yet. It's not even that they're not there yet. They're not trying to be there. They're comfortable where they are. And it's obvious, at least to me. So it's like I can't watch somebody who's not advancing. They're just cool where they at. Meaning if they're an astrologer, that's all they do. If they're a numerologist, that's what they do. I see people all the time. It's all types of people doing tarot readings and all that, but that's what they do. They're not trying to travel outside this box. Meaning they couldn't even have a conversation with me. I'm like, yo, as soon as I started talking Kabbalistically, because as you see, 99% of the time, everything that I say is coming directly from my mental, coming directly from my memory, right? Anybody who has been watching me long enough, you see, this is coming directly off of the top of the dome. There's no notes. I didn't have to prepare for this shit beforehand. I didn't even know what the fuck I was gonna talk about before I hit the record button. That's how it be. Because I put myself in a position to have to utilize my memory. I'm like, damn, I gotta dig into my Akashic records. I put myself in that position. I'm like, I'm not about to take no goddamn notes. I already got it. It's already in me. I just have to remember that that it's within me. So I have to bring it forth. So this is just putting myself in a position to bring forth what's already in me. So I'll be trying my best to give people a chance. So when I say I don't watch other occultists and all that, it ain't that I don't know who they are. Like I know about everybody, right? Everybody who has a name, everybody who's doing numbers, I know exactly who they are from all sectors. Like my eyes are everywhere. I am the all-seeing eye, so I'll be checking things out, but I just do it just to see who they are. Man. Okay, I know who that is. I know who that is. But you see, I don't never name drop because I'm like, it's just, you know, I just realized that their path is different, and I'm like, I don't even understand their path. To be honest, I don't even understand their path. Meaning, I don't consider you an occultist if you have not studied Crowley. Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. If you haven't studied Crowley, you are not an occultist. Like who would you have studied to become one? That's my whole thing because I guarantee whoever their teacher is studied Crowley. You have to have studied that. And if you study Crowley, why don't you have the deck? Just for example, I see all these tarot readers. I don't be seeing them with the Thoth deck. They got all these other decks. But the Thoth deck was the deck for the new Aeon, for the 21st century. How do you not understand this? But they don't. And if I try to explain it, they ain't trying to hear nothing I got to say. So it's like, fuck them, right? You are not an occultist if you do not embrace the teachings of Crowley. It's just, this is the most prolific writer ever. Crowley is one of the most prolific writers who have ever graced this earth. It's not just in his century. I'm talking about forever. He has more writings than most people ever. But they completely ignore this shit. Like, how do you not know who this man is? They know who he is. It's not that they don't know. They just can't comprehend what he's saying. I know what's really going on here. They just can't comprehend his writings. They cannot comprehend the Lemic literature. I didn't seen people try to break down Crowley's writings and they do a terrible job at it. They do a terrible job at it. They can't comprehend it. Why? Because you really gotta be this to comprehend it. That's why. You really have to be it in order to comprehend what he did. You can't be an armchair scholar understanding Crowley. It's not gonna work out for you. You can't study Crowley from the outside looking in, and that's what most people try to do. I'm just gonna tell the truth. Most people try to study this shit from the outside looking in. They're not trying to do, I'm not saying trying to do what he did, but they're not trying to understand the literature. It just is what it is, right? So you're not gonna find that on YouTube, unfortunately. Like all the people that I see talking about Crowley don't look like me. They look the opposite of me. People who look like me ain't talking about Crowley. They're talking about everybody else. They're not talking about Crowley. If anything, they're trying to present you, present to you like they created or they originated what they're talking about. That's why I always come on here and I say 93. I say 93 because I know where the credit goes. That's why before I open my motherfucking mouth, you see me say 93. That's just me giving credit where credit is due. I'm like, yo, I'm not the one that originated this. I am a student of this. I didn't originate the occult. I can't take no credit, but when I look at all these other motherfuckers, they ain't giving out their sources. But you see, I give out my source before I open my mouth. You know exactly where it's coming from before I even say anything. So you know the perspective I'm coming from before I even say anything. I don't see people doing that at all. They have you thinking that they the first one to come up with whatever they're talking about, which is just not the case. They just don't know because they haven't read the literature. So they think, oh, I'm the first one, but they didn't know that this was being spoken about already 100 years ago. But if you didn't read the literature, how would you know that, right? It was from Crowley that I first heard, with harm to none, do as thou wilt. Exactly. Did Jay-Z not have the do what thou wilt hoodie? Let's just be real here. Did it not start with Jay-Z with that black hoodie? All right then. Why do you think so many people just hate on Jay-Z? Because he's a student of Crowley. He had the fucking hoodie. He is a student of Crowley. But then everybody like, oh, he's a part of the Illuminati. He's this, he's that. No, he is a student of Crowley. Plain and simple. And he let that be known to the world. It just is what it is. For those who remember that, I'm talking about over 10 years ago. This ain't recent. I'm talking about over 10 years ago. He let it be known. But to my knowledge, he was the only one that did that. And I'm talking about in the entirety of hip hop. I've never seen nobody else rock that hoodie. All right, then. So that's what I'm saying. He was given credit where credit is due, and I respect him for that. He gave credit where credit is due. Nobody else did. If you ask them, they originated it. So I just can't respect that. So that's just the reality of it, right? That's just the reality of it. So when I see respect being given to the proper with proper etiquette, when I see respect given with proper etiquette, I'm all for it, right? What is this? I'm wearing sunglasses and most metaphysical. Apparently, a thing it is. You definitely should be rocking your shades to shield yourself from the evil eye. Because when you really about this life, you have to be shielded. And I'm not talking about having the protection from God. I'm talking about you putting in the work yourself, which is shielding your eyes. You should not even allow people to look into your eyes. That's an honor. That's a blessing. That can change people. Most people don't deserve to even look in your eyes. They don't. Are eyes not the windows to the soul? If your eyes are the windows to the soul, why would you give your soul to people that are undeserving, people that actually don't have the best interest at heart? Why would you even give them the opportunity to look into your soul? That's why a couple videos back I said, stop talking to random people just for the sake of running our mouth. They don't deserve to have a glimpse into your soul. They don't deserve it. They really don't. And that's just what it is. They don't deserve it. That's why I'm always talking about infamy. Most people don't deserve to even be in your presence. Let's just be honest. Most people don't even deserve to be in your presence. They don't deserve it. Why? What the fuck have they done to even deserve to be in your presence when you didn't put in all this work? Right? Peace to you, Nefertiti. Salute to you. It's all good. It's all good. Right? It's all good. So that's all I'm saying. We cannot give our energy away for nothing. So if you decide to give your energy away, it better cost. Right? It better cost. They ask why I wear. That's what I'm saying. Fuck those people. Or why do you wear your shades? I wish I would answer their question. Like, so like I could tell you the deepest secret, and they do not cast pearls to swine. It's just that simple. I wish a motherfucker would ask me why I'm wearing my shades. I wish somebody would ask me. You're not gonna get an answer. I'm just gonna walk right fucking past you, looking at you crazy. Like, I wish you would ask me why I'm wearing my goddamn shades. Because they only want to know because they ain't got shit to do. It's bored. It's boredom. They just want anything. They just want to talk about anything. Again, people don't even deserve your answer. They don't. You know who is deserving and who isn't. You know. You know. And you know most people are not qualified. They're not qualified to even have a conversation with you. They're not qualified. Again, this is infamy here. I'm just talking about infamy. Well, okay, you want my time, it costs. If they want your time, it costs. Like, no, don't you, no. You're not getting anything if it's not paid for, right? Is that not how the pimp operates? Is that not how the hoe operates? Try to get a hoe's attention and you ain't talking money. Try to get a pimp's attention and you not talking money. It's just not going to go well for you. It's not going to go well for you. But for the people that are undisciplined, they got all the time in the world, right? They got all the time in the world. But you don't. You must activate your infamy. But that requires you to change everything that you think you know. I had to change. Again, I had to change my whole identity. I had to change my whole energy, my whole aura to be this. I didn't just come into the world like this. Again, I came into this world with a death wish. So, G, no deceit in my spirit. Salute to you. I came into this world with a death wish. I didn't give a fuck whether I live or died. I had to gain an appreciation for life. That's how I know I am who I am. I didn't even care to live. I had to gain the appreciation to live. And the only thing that gave me appreciation for life is the occult. That's why my energy is different when it comes to that, because the occult gave me new life. Most people don't feel that way. This is just something they do because they just feel like it's cool to do. They didn't put their all into this like I put my all into this. That's the difference, right? I gave my all to this, and I don't expect someone else to make that same sacrifice. That's why I'm not looking for people to do that. So again, I don't give a fuck what type of content people make, what type of books people write. I'm like, no, you didn't give your all to this. This is just something you're doing just because you're trying to make money. This is not your actual life. You don't live infamously. You wouldn't know how to move and navigate through this world without an identification card. For example, that's just one example. Most people lose their ID, they get a replacement immediately. They don't know how to navigate without that. Let's just be honest here. They don't even know, like, oh, fuck, what do I do? They feel helpless. They can't, like, oh shit, what the fuck? I can't do nothing without that driver's license. I can't do nothing without that ID. Right? This is just the reality of it. They not making those type of sacrifices, and I don't expect them to. That's the whole thing. I don't put that on anybody. I don't expect anybody to make these sacrifices. That's why I have to do it. Right? And that's why I'm at peace. Cause I'm like, I'm not expecting the world to reflect my energy. That's not why the world is here. The world is not here to reflect my energy. The world is going to be the world. People are going to be people. I just can care less about fucking savages. I can care less about that shit. Until the savage is ready to step into their godhood, then we can talk. Until then, you can be as much of a mess as you want to. It's not going to change anything for me. So I just let people do that. Like I said, you're not gonna find me talking to nobody. If you saw me in real life, you're not gonna see me talking like this. You're not gonna see me opening my mouth. You're gonna see me, and eventually you're not gonna see me. You may see me briefly, then you're just not gonna see me. I ain't trying to hang around nowhere. You're not seeing me talking to people. I'm in and I'm out. I'm gone. You probably, again, if I'm cloaked, you're not even gonna see me for real. If I just completely cloak myself, if I completely go invisible, you ain't gonna see me at all. And I prefer that anyway. Because I'm just not dependent on having to deal with other people in that manner. But again, that's the sacrifice I made. I'm not telling nobody else that you have to do the same. Everybody's going to do as they wish. Everyone has free will. I just decided to activate my true will. That's the main difference between me and everybody else. I just decided to activate my true will while everybody else is living out their free will. That's why I said before, you got people going out the country, going all over the world, traveling the world, but they ain't getting no gain from the people. How many people do you see going to the Bahamas, living it up, having the time of their life, but they ain't come back with no gain? They ain't go out into the streets where the poor people are who can take everything you have and get game. And what would make them even want to give you game? It's like you a foreigner, you an outsider to them. Like, what the fuck is you? People stay in their goddamn hotels. They only go to the nice parts. They ain't trying to go to the hood. They're afraid to do that. They will never go to those places where they feel unsafe. They would never do that because you got to be qualified to do shit like that. You got to be qualified. You seen me do it though. So I'm not talking about nothing. You see me in all types of fucking hoods all over the goddamn country, right? And for whatever fucking reason, I get the same respect from the East Coast to the West Coast to the South to the Midwest. People give me the same respect. I don't get a different level of respect. They give me the same respect. Why? Because I had enough courage to even come to their own territory. That's the difference. I ain't walking around scared like I shouldn't go there. I shouldn't do this. As they say, real recognize real. But you only know that if you're real. And if you're real, why would you be afraid to go amongst other real people? Why would that put fear in your heart? But if you're not real, that's the last place. The last person you want to run into if you're not real is me. I'm the last person you want to run into. Right? I am the last person you want to run into. But if you're real, then we can break bread. Right? Because I would not intimidate you. You like, oh, I see what's going on here. Right? So that's why I'm always telling these stories about my street activities and how I ended up and why I'm doing this, just to let it be known that all this came from the streets, right? Nope, they all stay in Toursville, exactly. Are you particular about what hotels you stay in when you travel? Not really, because it's like I've been everywhere, right? So it's like it depends on what I'm trying to extract at that time. Like the location I picked is based on the mission I have to accomplish, right? So for example, if I need to go to New York and I need to extract some wisdom from Washington Heights, which is the hood, right? Then I'm gonna stay in Washington Heights. I'm not gonna say, oh shit, this is too crazy. If I need to go to LA and gangland and stay in the Blood neighborhood, I'm gonna be amongst the Bloods. If I need to be amongst the Crips, I'm gonna be amongst the Crips. If I need to go to East LA with the Latins, I'm gonna be in East LA. So it's like it just depends on what the mission is, right? And that's what I'm like. But I know most people don't think like that. They trying to stay all the way away, right? They ain't trying to. But again, they're not going to get embraced like I got embraced. Like the Latin culture embraced me. See, this is what made me comfortable is I will get embraced. And nobody run me off nobody's block. They embrace me. They're like, oh, he's real. Like I've heard this, like directly from my ears. Like, oh, I don't know how many times I heard that. Right? I stayed in the jungle in what is that? Grenada, with absolutely no resources. It was amazing. Cause you are the resource. That's why. You are the resource. You are the energy. You are the light. The greatest resource is you. That's why. That's why you can move how you move and you can do what you do because you understand that you are the greatest resource. You are the greatest resource, right? You set the block on fire, right? That's how it is. But it requires courage, right? It requires courage. That's what I'm saying. Nothing I'm saying here is easy to do. That's why you don't see most people doing this stuff. And you won't see people doing it because they're trying to be famous, right? They're trying to get on TikTok and be famous. They're trying to do TikTok dances, right? They're trying to get on TikTok and do dances. And let them, you know. I have no problem with it. Shout out to Gen Z. I have no problem with it. I have no problem with what nobody is doing. That's the whole thing. It's no problem. Just make sure it doesn't interrupt your inner peace. Stay in your higher chakras. So like I was saying with the third eye, I'll be having dreams like randomly. Like for example, I had a dream with Kodak Black. We was locked up in jail. Like me and Kodak Black was locked up in jail. Like this is just how strange this should be happening. Like me and Kodak Black was locked up in jail, right? Somehow I smuggled in a cell phone, right? Then I think I hid it. I hid the cell phone, and like the guards came in and started searching the room and shit. And I was like, I was for sure that they found this cell phone. I'm like, fuck, they found the cell phone. I was for sure that they found it because I was not in the cell at the time. I had left the cell. They went up in there. They was. I'm like, fuck, they found that shit. That's what they probably went in there looking for anyway, right? But when I come back in there, the cell phone is just sitting right there on the table, as if I'm like, I didn't leave it there. So clearly they did find it, but they just left it on the table. I'm like, what the fuck? Why would they? Why wouldn't they confiscate that? Like these are the type of parables I'd be left with. So I'm like, okay, so they came in there looking for contraband. They found it clearly, but they didn't take it. So when I walk back in there, it's sitting right there on the table. I'm like, why would they just leave this sitting on the table? Clearly, it was either they're like, oh shit, that's his, leave it alone. But I'm like, why would they give me that amount of respect? Another one, when I had a dream about Nipsey Hussle, we was like at odds. We were arguing, right? So like we was damn near on the verge of fighting. We had our fists balled up. We was squared up and everything. We was literally at the verge of fighting. And he just said, like, know what? Let's just cut this out. He was like, this we ain't about to do this. He shut the energy down. Like what the fuck are we doing? Like what are we doing here? Right? What's up, Steps to Glory? I'm like, that's something he would do, right? Even a dream that I had about Whack 100, I'm like, that really reflects his energy. And what I mean by that is, it's like he invited me, this young as a producer. Oh, shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. You know, shout out to real hip hop. What happened was, it was just all business with him, right? So I guess he had invited me into his home for a business. And basically, it's like I had different types of plans. I guess I had my own vision of what we're supposed to be doing. And because it didn't fit into his vision, he started getting irritated and he started getting angry. Then he was like, yo, man, fuck this, get the fuck out. He kicked me out of his house, because I wasn't following his plan. He just had his mind made up. This is what I want. This is what we doing. If you're not following the program, then get the fuck out, right? And I'm like, that actually does. I can see Whack actually doing that. I'm like, that does remind. I can like that. That wasn't far fetched at all. I'm like, I can see him doing that because that's just the type of person he is. I'm like, damn, that does reflect his energy. So it's like when I be having these dreams about these celebrities, it actually be reflecting their energy, right? It reflects. I'm like, oh, that actually is the same thing. Like we was like me and Nipsey Hussle. He just didn't allow us to fight. He was like, it wasn't me. I was ready to, but he was like, nah, we not gonna do this. But I'm like, he would do that. I can see him like, you know what, let's, it's just, we can do this in another way. We don't have to do this. I'm like, oh, that does reflect his energy. So that's why I call these channels. I'm like, because when I have these dreams, I'm like, this reflects their energy in real time. So I'm not just tapping into a shadow, I'm tapping into the actual essence. So that's why when it does happen, I pay attention to it and I have to decode the parables. It be a bunch of parables. Again, just like with the Kodak Black, I'm like, why was the cell phone just left right there on the table when we're not supposed to have cell phones in here? But of course, why would they take the cell phone away from the technomancer, right? From the cyber magician? The last chakra, the crown chakra. This is how we gather our cosmic intelligence from the crown, right? The crown is what connects us to the planets, the wandering stars and the fixed stars. Because what happens is, yes, we are all a zodiac sign, but your zodiac sign is your animalistic nature. Your zodiac sign is your animalistic nature, it's not your godly nature. So, for example, I may be a Scorpio, But that's just my basic nature. That's not my sophisticated nature, meaning I must supersede the pools of Scorpio in order to embody my true self. The Scorpio is basically what I fall back to if I decide to be a fucking savage. If I decide to be a savage, I'm going to be a Scorpio savage. But if I decide to utilize the higher chambers, I'm going to be like the phoenix. You can say that's the highest form of the Scorpio is the phoenix. So while everybody else sees a scorpion, the highest form is the phoenix. But in order for me to reflect the phoenix, you see, the phoenix constantly has to die and be reborn. The nature of the phoenix is to die and be reborn, so you can't have any attachments. So that's why I say I live a dangerous life because I constantly have to go through death and rebirth. I have to constantly have to let things go. I can't be attached to anything because Scorpios are known to hold grudges. But that's the lower nature, meaning I can't, and I feel that I be getting upset like everybody else. I just want to be mad like everybody else. I'm like, fuck this person for life. Of course I want to do that, but I'm like, I got to be the phoenix. I mean, I got to kill that and then be reborn and have a different approach if I want to activate my more sophisticated nature. Right, I have to supersede the pools of the zodiac sign in order to realize that I have access to the entire cosmos. See, most people again will never make it past their zodiac sign, not realizing that damn, you got access to all of these stars, you got access to all these planets, but not when you allow your savage nature to take control of you. Being all in your feelings about whatever the fuck, being angry, being upset, that's just us going back to our animal, aka our zodiac nature. When you're able to supersede your zodiac nature, then you realize how vast this universe truly is. We don't know how vast this universe truly is if we're just allowing ourselves to succumb to our savage nature. So that's what the crown chakra helps us to unlock. So me talking about the throat, talking about the third eye, aka the first eye, me talking about the cosmic intelligence, aka the crown chakra. You see, that's why most people are not doing this. Most people will only be their zodiac sign, no more, no less. Most people are not remembering their dreams. They have no access to imagination. And most people, again, are not creative. They're not musicians. They can't create art. That's why they are into STEM. That's majority. That's 85% of this world because they are not what self saviors. Right? Need I say more? So unless y'all have any more questions, we'd be out. We've been on here 97 minutes. So I'll end this at 100 minutes, right? So we got 2 minutes before we close out. So hopefully I gave you some value. Hopefully this time that was spent, gave you a better understanding of the world around you, the world within you, and the world in between you. Because you are the master of all these worlds, right? What does it say? Allah is the Lord of all worlds, and not the Allah. That's the spook, the Allah that you are, right? Allah is all of us. When we come together as a collective, we reflect the Allah. That's the difference, right? That's why I say with 93, when we merge together, when y'all come and y'all spend y'all time with me, that's the gods coming together. That's the gods and the goddesses coming together. And then we reflect that divine mind, right? Where can I learn Crowley's teaching? Study his literature. Read the book of the law. Study his literature. He has an abundance of literature out there, right? It's not hard to find. It's all over the internet. It's all over the internet, right? Start with the book of the law. And if you resonate with the book of the law, then you would know if you want to go further. So start with the book of the law. What am I thought on chemtrails? You don't need to be concerned with chemtrails if you are intaking the proper physical foods, mental foods, and spiritual foods. It's not going to do anything. You can say chemtrails are just poison, right? It's just poison. But it can't do nothing to you if you live in the way you were supposed to live. You're not concerned with. You can actually intake the poison and it don't do nothing to you. If you live in the way you're supposed to live, like the poison is not going to affect you. It's not going to stop you from doing anything you need to do. It may stop the 85%. It may stop them, It may have them acting like savages, but it's not gonna have you acting like a savage. All the chemtrails is doing is just keeping you out of the stars. Remember, they want to keep you in your zodiac sign. They don't want you to know that you have access to the full solar system, the full universe. That's all. They're just trying to take away your ability to access the rest of your star lot. That's all. That's our fortune, the wheel of fortune. Your fortune is in the stars, going beyond your zodiac sign. So of course they're gonna put the chemtrails that keep you out of stargazing. It's hard to stargaze when you got chemtrails everywhere. You got poison. So, but the poison don't have nothing to do with you, right? When you put that work in, that magical work, as long as you're putting in not just the physical work, but the magical work, it's not gonna stop shit. Anything that these people are doing to slow you down, the only way it's gonna actually slow you down is if you are not being exactly who you know that you are. So you must activate the divinity within yourself. That's what's going to shield you from all the bullshit. Only you can save yourself. Nobody's going to come along and stop this shit but you. You can stop it from affecting you. If the 85 gets killed off, then they just get killed off. Fuck it. But you're not going to get killed off. And that should be your only concern anyway. So the chemtrails will only affect you as much as you allow it to affect you. And when you get tired of it affecting you, it won't affect you anymore. When you realize I need to shield myself magically, psychically, as well as physically. So you're good. It's no need. And if it's just too crazy, just you can always switch your location. You're not bound to any location. But of course, most of us feel like we are. We're bound to a specific location. We're not. So if you're in a major city, you may want to move to the outskirts. And if it's just too crazy, go to another city. Again, we're not bound to any location. We're not. All right. So if it's too crazy somewhere, go to somewhere where it's not too crazy, and that place exists. All right. So never give yourself limitations. All right. So if chemtrails is crazy where you are, go to a place where it's not too crazy. All right. Where you feel comfortable, where you can activate your magic. Um, you read the Master Key System? Yes, I read the Master Key System. Yes, I did. The Master Key System was written by Charles Hannell. He also have the book, A Book About You. He also has the book, The Amazing Secrets of the Yogi. He also has the book, Mental Chemistry. Yeah, I know about all those, right? I'm very familiar with that. I'm very familiar with that. So yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. Napoleon Hill's teacher. So I know exactly what that's about. How did you get to the point where you don't have to depend on a job anymore? I mean, I wish I could make it simple, but it's because I went through extreme hardship. That's what it is. Meaning, most people go through hardship, right? Most of us probably had a very challenging life, right? It's nothing too particular about that. But I didn't put myself through so much that's completely unnecessary to most people's lives that I'm just completely different. Like I said, it's my mind just doesn't think like other people's minds. Like for example, most people think, well, if I don't have a job, how am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? They're because they don't know anything outside of the mainstream. They don't know anything outside of depending on the system. As I was saying, they have no idea how to utilize cryptocurrency. They have no idea how to utilize these other things that are just simply off limits to most people. Basically, what I'm saying, without talking in circles, I learned how to not depend on the American dollar. I don't depend on the American dollar. The American dollar has, I don't depend on it, right? I depend on currency. I know how to move currency. I had to force myself though, right? Because I was put in this situation where, like everybody else, well, damn, you can't even get a job if you don't have an ID. You got to show your ID just to get a job. So when I was put in a situation where I didn't even have an ID, I'm like, damn, I can't get a job. That's what happened to me. What happened to me is I lost my ID, right? I'm like, damn. Now I can't get a hotel, can't get a job, can't, ain't nobody gonna put me on their fucking lease and all that. All of the avenues that have been established for us, I could not take those routes anymore. I didn't even have the option to take those routes. Right? So I literally had to figure out how to navigate in the underworld. I was forced to. So that's why when you ask me, well, how? I was forced to. I was forced to figure out how the system actually works and how to utilize it. I was forced. So I'm not even going to say like, okay, this was my plan from the start. That would be me lying to you. This was not my plan. This is just what I had to do because I had no other choice. I'm like, either I'm going to die starving and broke and fucked up, or I need to figure out a way to navigate outside the system. So I literally had no choice. I was forced to figure it out, which I wouldn't recommend for anybody because it wasn't fun. It wasn't easy. It's a lot of fucking pain and hardship that I don't recommend the average person to engage in whatsoever. So I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. Like this was just a fun experience. No, this shit made me who I am. This made me different. I had to completely morph myself. I'm like, damn, my name don't mean shit. That name on that ID don't mean shit. Who I think I am, I'm not. I'm not that. I like my identity is completely infamous at this point. That's why I say I'm in very dangerous territory. I'm in very dangerous waters. I would not recommend my lifestyle to anyone. Like again, just because I'm able to survive it don't mean most people will. Because most people don't have that amount of I don't even know what to call it. The will, true will. I just activated the true will. It's either I have to activate my true will or I'm gonna die. And I don't recommend nobody else to put themselves in that situation. I don't recommend it. That's just my story, but I don't recommend that. If you are in a position where you don't have to do that, then don't do it. Do not put yourself through it if you don't have to do it, because you have to accept some very harsh realities and you have to do some very harsh things. Right? So I don't recommend it, but that's just what I had to endure. And like I said, most people lose AID, they're fucked. That's just a reality. They wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't know where their next dollar is coming from. But somehow I figured it out. But it wasn't easy. It took tears, right? I had to go through tears for that, right? I couldn't be the father I wanted to be because of that. I'm just going to be real, right? I'm just going to keep it 100%. I couldn't be the father that I felt I needed to be because of that. Like sacrifices, real sacrifices had to be made. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie, right? If you got the opportunity to be the best father, then be the best father. Go to work. Take care of your children, right? There's no reason for you to even think about it. If you don't have to, if you're not already in that predicament, don't even think about it, right? Again, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to mislead nobody. If you don't have to do that, then don't do it, right? Because it's not going to be easy. You got to make harder decisions than most people, and your decisions actually are long term as well. It ain't some other okay, I can just do this. If it don't work, fuck it. No, this has to work, or life is end. Your life will be ended if this doesn't work, type shit, right? So I've been placed in those predicaments way too many times, right? So again, I'm not going to mislead them, but I have to be 100% honest. Why? I'm not going to lie to y'all. I may lie to this world, But I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Let me not say that I'm not lying to the world either. So let me not even say that I'm not lying to the world either. But I'm definitely not gonna lie to y'all. When y'all support me, when y'all don't have to be here, I'm definitely not gonna lie to you, right? So don't do it if you don't have to. Because there's way easier ways for you to make things happen. You do not have to take this route. You do not have to take this route. That's why I'm giving you all the game. I'm like, take this game that I had to learn the hard way and make your life easy as fuck. That's really the only reason I'm here. Take the game that I had to go through hell to get so that you don't have to go through hell because you're not in that predicament, right? It's the only reason I'm here. Take this and do something that I couldn't do with it. Take it further than I can take it. That's why I'm here. You don't have to become me. Be you. Take it further than I can take it. You're going to be able to go through doors I'm not going to be able to go through. You're going to have access to people I'm not going to have access to. And that's exactly what you're here for. Take it further than I can. See, again, I'm only talking to the underworld, but you may be able to access chambers. So, salute to everybody, right? Take this wisdom and be better with it, right? Don't look at me as an end all be all. Look at yourself as an end all be all, right? I watched the videos for 2 days straight and it changed my whole way of thinking because that's what it's supposed to do. That's what I'm here to do. I'm just here to be the phoenix, right? Not telling you to be it. I'm just being it. And hopefully you gain something from the wisdom. Do I have an ID now? You know, I move around a little bit, but I don't need it. I don't depend on it. I really don't. I don't really don't use it, honestly. I don't like, it doesn't mean a goddamn thing to me. It doesn't mean anything to me because we got Bitcoin now. We can make direct transactions with people, so it don't mean shit to me, right? I don't have an ID in my wallet. No. Do I carry my ID? Nope. It don't mean shit to me. But again, that doesn't mean that that's the mentality that you should carry. ID don't mean nothing to me. But that's because I know how the world works. It shouldn't mean nothing to nobody, but I understand the matrix. So I'm not gonna recommend people have that mentality. I'm not telling nobody, oh, throw away your ID. No. Utilize it. Be better than me. Right? Be better than me. Your chemtrail point, you mentioned not letting the poison affect you. How do you go about doing that, if you can elaborate? Psychic protection, right? Magical protection. Use a lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, as well as the greater banishing ritual of the pentagram, just to give you a little taste. To surround yourself and protect yourself magically. The lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, as well as the greater ritual of the pentagram. That way you can banish energy from your environment that shouldn't be there, right? So you have to banish the energy. It's not just going to leave because you want it to leave. You must banish the energy from your surroundings. So that you have to take those steps. So you must utilize rituals to banish energy that's no longer needed. So you are able to keep the energy that you do need. So again, this is not going to happen by itself. You have to stimulate this energy. You have to activate this energy, right? So I think I made my point, right? Wasn't even trying to go this deep though. Now imagine me trying to explain that to an 85 and thinking that they're gonna, oh, like, all right, yeah, they're not trying to hear that. So fuck them, right? So take this wisdom and make it happen. However you choose to make it happen. Again, I'm not moralistic. I'm amoral. However you gotta get it, you gotta get it. You see, I be talking about all this stuff, right? Whether you go to the underworld or you go mainstream, I'm not here to judge. Do whatever you feel is necessary, the way you want to do it. Activate your true will, whatever that may be. And with that, I bear peace 93. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, love under law. All right? Do what you got to do.